Today I want to talk about 4 characteristics of good working paper that meet the requirement of ISA 230. Number 1. Complete and details. Good working papers must be complete, clear, and detailed to support the auditor's opinion. They should include the nature, timing, and extent of auditor procedure, result obtained, and significant matters identified. For example, when verifying machinery ownership, the auditor includes the infection date, sample size, and finding to justify conclusions. Number 2. Properly organized and cross-reference. Working papers should be systematically arranged and logical present. Each document must have a unique index number and be cross-referenced to relate information. This ensures that audit evidence is easy to trace and review. Example, a trial balance is cross-referenced with bank reconciliation or inventory schedule for quick verification.
Next, evidence of review and supervision. Working paper must clearly show that they were reviewed by different audit level, assistant, senior, manager, and partner. Each review should sign or initial with the date as proof of supervision and quality control. For example, the audit manager will sign off after checking that all audit procedures were complete accurately. In conclusion, good audit working paper should be complete, organized, reviewed, and securely kept, ensuring they support the auditor opinion and comply with professional standards. Next, complete and safeguarded. All audit working paper must be finalized within 60 days after the auditor report date. This file must be securely stored and only accessible to authorized personnel to protect confidentiality and integrity. For instance, many firms now use password protect system or lock cabinet to keep audit documents safe.
Next is statistical and non-statistical approach. First, I'm going to talk about statistical. Statistical approach uses math and probability technique, meaning auditor use random and systematic method instead of guessing. This makes sure every item in the population has an equal chance to be chosen.
For non-statistical approach is a method where the auditor uses personal judgment and experience to choose which sample to test. In other words, instead of using mathematical selection, the auditor relies on their knowledge, experience, and professional judgment to decide which items seem most important or risky to check.
For the selection basis of statistical approach, it's all about fairness. Samples are chosen randomly and not based on judgment. That is why statistical approach has less bias because they rely on data, not personal opinion.
And for non-statistical approach, selection basis is items are chosen based on what the auditor thinks is important or risky. However, since this method relies heavily on personal judgment, there is a higher chance of bias. This means the result may depend too much on the auditor's own opinion, experience, and assumption, not purely on data or random selection.
Next, for statistical approach, it's most suitable used when the population is large and quite similar, and when the client's internal control is strong. Some advantages are that the results are objective and reliable, and the sample size is calculated scientifically. But disadvantages are that it's complex, need training, and takes more time and cost to perform.
For the non-statistical approach, it is most suitable when the population is small, or when items are different in nature, or when time and cost are limited. This means it's often used for small audits or when auditors need faster results. There are several advantages to this approach. First, it is simple and fast to apply. Next, less costly and easier to use. Lastly, and it's useful for small audit or tight deadlines. However, there is also some disadvantages. First, the result can be subjective since they depend on the auditor's judgment. Next, sampling risk can be measured. And lastly, sometimes it may produce inconsistent or less reliable results.
And this is the example of method of statistical approach, which is simple random sampling, systematic sampling, and probability proportional results.
Example of method for non-statistical approach is direct sampling and haphazard sampling.
Next, I will explain the difference between sampling risk and non-sampling risk in auditing. Sampling risk occurs when the auditor tests only part of a population and the sample does not represent the entire population, leading to wrong conclusion. For example, if the auditor checked 40 invoices from 1,000 and all appear correct, fraud in the remaining invoice may go unnoticed. This risk can be reduced by using random sampling, increasing the sample size, or applying statistical methods. Next, non-sampling risk occurs due to auditor error or mistakes, not because of the sample. For example, an auditor may miscalculate inventory, misinterpret revenue recognition rules, or skip bank confirmation procedures. Even if the sample is correct, this mistake can lead to incorrect audit conclusion. This risk can be reduced through proper training supervision, following audit procedure, and maintaining professional skepticism. In short, sampling risk comes from sample selection, while non-sampling risk comes from auditor mistakes. Both must be controlled to ensure reliable audit result. Thank you.